Welcome to the Australian Business Executive Podcast, where we speak with Australia's most influential industry professionals on the business and economic development issues taking place across the country. You can stay up to date with all our content, including our magazines, podcasts and videos by visiting www.theabe.com.au and clicking on subscribe.
Today's guest is Brookfarm CEO and owner Will Brook. Brookfarm is a generational family business which proudly supports our local farmers. Brookfarm became the source of many ingredients within Australia. They source as many ingredients as possible from within Australia, from farms practicing sustainable farming. Based in beautiful Byron Bay, they are committed to create more jobs in regional communities and are proud to employ over 75 local staff across 3 facilities. Will, thanks for speaking with us today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. So tell us a little bit about Brookfarm and how it got started.
Well, we're fortunate that we're in the month right now of our 20th birthday of Brookfarm. So Brookfarm started 20 years ago now by my parents, Pam and Martin, who bought a farm. It goes even further back than 20 years. So 30 years ago, we bought essentially sight unseen this farm, which ended up being degraded and covered with weeds, and there was really nothing going on and wasn't very well loved. And I got some fantastic advice back then. Mum was a dentist and Dad was a film director, producer, so not exactly in the farming or the food game at that point in time. Some great advice to plant macadamias and regenerate. We had a little bit of pocket of rainforest, so we started regenerating rainforest on that farm. And I guess that's where the love of the land really started. And then 10 years after that, we, very obviously passionate macadamia farmers from that point in time. I was only very young at that stage, so got to really give the credit to Mum and Dad there. But we have this beautiful nut, the macadamia nut, but it was basically just being processed, exported, and sent off for other people to enjoy. And we really wanted to do something amazing with the macadamia and get it into people's homes every day. And that's where we started with our first products, which is the toasted cranberry and gluten-free macadamia mueslis. And then started selling at the markets, and then grown from there to IGAs, Harris Farms, and just about everywhere else in between, including export, airlines, and then I guess, that's where the story begins, and we're still going on. And I've taken over the reins from Mum and Dad a couple of years ago now.
Fair enough. Can you tell us about your product range and how many products you have in market these days?
Yeah, sure. So we've got probably of our recipes, and all of our recipes are created by us, by Mum, by Pam in the family kitchen. About 40 different recipes that we have now, but they span across a really wide variety of different products. The first thing for us is always going to be flavor. So they've got to taste great. So even though we have our gluten-free cranberry products, we've got the first really proper keto cereal in the market from a few years ago. Everything has to taste amazing. It doesn't matter if you've got a particular nutritional thing. It's got to have fantastic ingredients. They've got to be fresh, and we have to bake it perfectly. So we make all of our products, our snacks, our mueslis, granolas, all these delicious things as if you were going to make them at home. We just do them on a slightly bigger scale. So it takes a lot of love and care, and that's what we do up in Byron at Brookfarm.
Fair enough. We are hopefully on the downside of COVID, of this part of the pandemic. But while we were facing it, and at the time of the recording as it is now, how are you guys being affected by this and your ability to export your product?
Well, it's been really up and down for Brookfarm. So I guess we felt some of the heat from COVID really early. China is one of our larger countries that we export to. The people in China really love Brookfarm, and so in February we started to see that direct impact from COVID as China shut down, and then as they came back online, we saw how that's moved throughout the domestic market and our other markets. So obviously food service and cafes is, they're the guys that are really doing it tough, as well as the airlines. And they're an important customer of ours. A lot of people who've been with us since day one, since 20 years ago. Many have been able to pivot, some haven't. So, we've had, I would say, challenges from that point of view. Our ability to export isn't hampered too much now as the world's starting to open up, which is great to see. But we've been really well supported in, domestic by our loyal customers, and I guess really feeling for the people who have cafes or anyone who is working in an airline. That's the areas that are the toughest hit for us.
Fair enough. You guys pride yourself on being able to use sustainable environmental farming practices to achieve success in terms of protecting the environment and helping the community. Do you want to just talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, I guess the idea of sustainable farming and running a sustainable business is something that's completely ingrained in what we do. It often just baffles me that we're talking to people about, this would be really beneficial if we recycled this, or maybe we should get this from a sustainable source, or maybe we should source this locally rather than going for overseas. And for me, that should be the business of that should be normal business practice. I think that's one thing for Brookfarm that we always really pride ourselves on, is it's got to start sustainably. It's got to be really high quality. And even the way that we manufacture, our roof is completely covered in solar panels. We make sure that we optimize their use. We want to make sure we're using as little water, or using our water efficiently. We recycle everything. We're on the front foot in packaging and being able to bring a recyclable bag to the market. So I guess that's something it's completely ingrained in everything that we do, and that really comes from our farm. So Mum and Dad still live on the farm. We still regenerate our rainforest. We're running our macadamias. And I think that's given us a solid bedrock as to how to run any and all businesses that we have a part to play in. And while that might be different to the way some other people do their business, we're really proud that that's what we do.
Mm. I believe that you had mentioned when we originally spoke as well that you guys are now investing in pretty significant carbon reduction projects. Do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, this has been a little pet project of mine for some time. So one of the frustrations that I've had is, how do we even better integrate sustainability and the prevention of climate change, or the reduction of carbon? How do you completely intertwine that with a business? Now, while it's not a Brookfarm thing, it's something that we've started with the Brook family. So me, my mum and dad, and my brother Eddie, who runs our other sister business, Cape Byron Distillery, but also two of the founders of Stone and Wood have got together and created this business called We the Many. And what We the Many is first, all of our products are carbon neutral, but on top of that, we're investing 50% of the profits into carbon reduction projects. So the idea here is, if you're a consumer, what are those small little choices that you can make that are better for the environment? You might be switching off a light. You might be riding your bike to school, to work, to save on fuel. But what about your product purchases? And I guess that's something that we want to give people the responsibility back in their purchasing decisions, to say, you know what, I'm going to choose something that's better for the environment. And what we do is we take the profits that we get, and we invest into businesses that are reducing carbon from the atmosphere. So rather than donating that, we're saying we're going to pick businesses that are doing a fantastic job, and then we're also dependent on that business doing the right thing, and doing it really well and sustainably. So it's a bit of a new business model, new business idea, that we're just starting out now.
And so between sustainable farming and carbon reduction, what is sort of the bigger goal that you guys are trying to achieve?
The bigger goal, there's a couple of different things going on there. I guess for We the Many, the bigger goal is to give people their responsibility, the idea that they can take on some of the responsibility for the future of the planet. So climate change in and of itself can seem like such a daunting thing, and we can often, I guess, export our responsibility to our political leaders or to much bigger businesses. But I really feel that every individual plays their part, and I want to play my part for a positive future by the businesses that I become a part of. And I also want the people who are getting on board with us and We the Many to be able to take that bit of responsibility by buying their product, take responsibility for their health and for the environment. And I guess on the Brookfarm side of things, we really want to inspire people to be able to make a healthier choice, whether that's healthier for the environment, healthier for their own personal health, for their well-being, that they can choose something that's really high quality, supporting local and sustainable farmers. They're all lofty goals, those there, but that's what I try and do every single day.
Okay. And before we finish up today, is there anything else you haven't had a chance to address or would like to make note of?
One thing I guess it's so important for me in both of our businesses is that idea of supporting Australian made. You can see that so much through COVID is, whenever a country is getting back on its feet, and Australia has done this relatively well, is when we get really passionate about supporting the businesses that are made in Australia and making really high quality products that aren't cutting corners. And I guess that's what I'd encourage anyone listening to do is, make a little investment in Australia by supporting those who are supporting the Australian farmers and, supporting even regional industry. We're a relatively small business. We've got about 75 staff, and it's so key for our area that we can provide skills not only for people who are just out of school or who need to get into the job market, but also those who are higher skilled and have fantastic expertise as well. So yeah, I guess that's one thing, and you might end up paying a little bit more for an Australian made product, but the cost isn't in margin. The cost is in the quality of the product and the quality of the ingredients. And that's one thing that I think is key about what we do here at Brookfarm.
Excellent. Well, Will, thanks very much for your time today.
A pleasure. Thanks a lot, mate.
This has been a production of the Australian Business Executive, a division of Romulus Rising Proprietary Limited. All rights reserved. You can stay up to date with the Australian Business Executive, including our magazines, podcasts and videos by visiting www.theabe.com.au and clicking on subscribe.